Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Social Zee Franchise Happy Hour. I'm your host, as usual, Calvin Smith, coming from beautiful and warm Destin, Florida here in December. Got two awesome entrepreneurs from different parts of the country. We have Fess Russell from Los Angeles, California, and Josh Hall coming from Memphis and the Mississippi area. So, gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Calvin. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So to kick us off, gentlemen, we'll do our usual routine and ask you to do just sort of an intro of where you are, what your business is, and kind of what you did before you became an entrepreneur or before you got into this particular brand. So to kick us off, Fess, you want to give us a little intro?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in the Chicago region, went to school out in Indiana. Upon graduating, I moved right out to Los Angeles, where I took a job in the brutal music industry. I worked in music for 5 years, where I worked at a company called William Morris. It's an entertainment talent agency, and I was an agent assistant for 2.5 gruesome years, where you get yelled at and just work till 11 o'clock every night. And it was a job that I loved and was passionate about, but saw no end goal and saw no promotion along the way. Changed that pretty quickly to management. So I worked as a day-to-day manager for Slash from Guns N' Roses, which was a pretty rewarding experience. But again, no end goal. You have to really get those connections and find your big break, especially in LA. Everyone you meet kind of has their niche within the music industry. And as you get a little older, you realize you have to know someone in order to really make it. And I knew that all along, but as you get older and you start making the same amount of money year after year, you start realizing you may have to make a pivot. So after having some conversations, I determined that my next step would be moving forward in a different direction, and franchising was a great opportunity for me to position myself for my future. I initially looked at opportunities in the UPS franchise business. I looked at gyms, Orange Theories, and then all of a sudden we came across Hammer and Nails, where we were like, holy crap, this is the be all end all. We couldn't believe it. It was almost too good to be true when we went out and actually met with one of the franchisees, the old owner of the one that I purchased. And the rest was history. We met with several more of the franchisees from the region and Laguna Niguel, Echo Park, South Bay, Manhattan Beach area. And after a 6-month kind of calculated decision, we went ahead with it. So here I am now, owner of the Hammer and Nails West Hollywood location.
Awesome. Well, interesting background, Fess, and cool story. I mean, I think, everyone, when we were young, we all dreamed about going to California and trying to become famous, so it's awesome you took that leap, man. It's very cool.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be in the barbershop business, that's for sure. Josh,
give us your intro.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Calvin. So for me, it's pretty simple. Over the past 15 years since college, I've been in the fitness industry. It started with the need of a 24-hour gym. So I started with Anytime Fitness, and we were able to scale that to 11 locations over 3 states. Until the end of last year, where we we sold all of our units of Anytime Fitness and stayed inside Self-Esteem Brands to help launch their new brand, Basecamp Fitness. And so we're getting ready to open Memphis in about 30 days, and then we'll open Birmingham in March.
Awesome. That's great, man. So you had the Anytime Fitness and you grew that, were able to scale that to multiple locations, successful business, had an exit, and decided, hey, I want to do it again.
That's it. Yeah. We figured, why not, right? I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
We generally have a few standard questions that we go through here, gentlemen, but really what I'd like to hear from both of you is, based on your background and your experiences, in the types of businesses that you're in, which do have a retail location and they're location based, right? A lot of our guests over the last year have really talked about getting away from those due to everything that scared us during COVID, right? So, what I'd like to hear is, your confidence and your thoughts around, where the retail space is going, the location-based franchise system's going, and, what are you going to do, to kind of bring people back into those locations?
Yeah, I could start. I mean, I think location based is all about experience, and that's what we stand for in our branding concept. We welcome people into our grooming club as you're going to get a full experience. We offer, for example, a complimentary beverage with every service, whether it's a beer, whiskey on the rocks, you're going to get soda, water, anything you please. We're going to know you by name. You're going to get that 90-minute manicure and pedicure. You're going to get that oversized leather chair, the flat screen TV, the noise canceling headphones, and you can't get that virtually. You just can't get that. I mean, for us, we're in the space where people need to start going out in the world and experiencing life again. I mean, it's like that movie, Yes Man. You have to say yes to these new experiences, and you're not going to get that by just sitting at home. So I think these locations will continue to thrive, and they have in the past. They'll do it again. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think over the past, almost 2 years now, virtual options have kind of been forced. I mean, hey, I'll give it to them in the fitness world. Peloton crushed it. They were at right place, right time, right product. But now as we're kind of exiting, hopefully some of those seasons, I mean, people want to be their own people. People want community. And whether it's the fitness space that I'm in or other industries, I think brick and mortar is only on the way back up, as it was in 2018, 2019, kind of. That was the plan through 2020 until COVID happened. So I'm. It's not that I'm confident just because of what business I'm in. I'm just confident in the retail space as a need moving forward.
Yeah, I think people are just excited in general to go exploring. I mean, for just a quick example, I mean, we were just at the Melrose Farmers Market, which is a nearby farmers market, just kind of introducing people to our business and talking, and people are excited. I want to come in there. Just the words like, I want to come in and like leave my house to come into your shop. I mean, they don't want to be homebodies anymore. So I think whatever business you're in, whether it's the spa business, the gym business, or anything of that nature, I mean, people want to leave their house. So I think it's only on the way up for sure.
Fess, you mentioned, the experience piece of it, which, obviously your brand offers something unique that people aren't going to get at a traditional barbershop, right? And,
Right.
Josh, how important was that experience for you in switching from the Anytime Fitness model and obviously, staying within the same concept, but, the base camp is more of the experience, right? You can't get that group training and things like that at the house. How big of a factor was that whenever you decided to make a change?
Oh, very big factor. I mean, coming out of the 24-hour, fitness model where it was very low touch, come and go whenever you want. We might not have staff there all the time, to entering into the boutique fitness space. Experience is what changes it. And it starts with our people, our staff team, to the facility, the design, everything in between. I mean, we feel like that because it is a high ticket item that we have to give a life-changing experience day in and day out, because somebody else is just going to do it if we don't.
Yeah, I think building off that, you said it starts with the staff, and it really does. I mean, we are kind of like on the higher level in terms of you compare average prices of, say, a service at a regular barbershop. And I think it truly matters. If you have one bad experience, they'll slander your name around town and they won't come back. We have a grooming club as well, like the membership base, and they will cancel their membership the day they freaking leave that place if they have one bad experience. If the check-in isn't right, if you don't hand them that drink or offer them to, if you don't offer them or allow them to take a sip of their drink during that service, those little nuances are so important. And if you don't pay attention to every detail, then you could lose clients like that, and they'll tell their friends. So it does start with the staff and your team.
What are you guys doing, to build that staff and team right now? Everyone that we've talked to in the last probably 4 to 5 months, even to the last year, staffing is the problem that we're trying to solve, right? So, what are your approaches on finding the right team members and then retaining them and getting them excited to help you build your brands?
For us, again, I mean, just like everybody else, we're entering what people call, exiting an unemployment crisis, entering, they're calling the great shift, where people are kind of looking around for a new opportunity. The assumption is they're always looking for more money, but I don't think that's always the case. And we're seeing that, with our team, they're looking for a better culture and better opportunity. So for us, that started well before we ever started hiring people and creating a, mission, vision, values, very feedback driven goals, and then letting our staff team enter into that conversation. And it's something that we're always talking about day in and day out. So they feel like they're much more than just an employee, in a sense. We're creating partnerships so that we can grow this brand together. And we're in a unique situation. There's only 10 base camps nationwide. So they're literally coming in from the ground up, and we're doing this thing together. And they see that it's not just saying that we're going to hopefully create more opportunity. They're creating it themselves.
Yep, I have a very similar take on that. Obviously, it's very difficult to staff barbershops. The turnover rate is annoyingly high, and keeping people happy is literally everything. They are our moneymakers, our service providers, and we need them happy, and we love them. And so creating incentives, motivating factors besides just doing their service is everything. So we have membership goals that we're talking about constantly throughout the day. We have a whiteboard. How many members do we have? How many members are we wanting to get by the end of this month? How many gift card sales are we trying to get by the end of this month? Just constantly speaking about it and making them feel more involved is how we operate and how we keep them more involved instead of just come in, do your service, and leave. So I couldn't agree more.
So, with that in mind, Fess and Josh, one of the reasons a lot of our guests and me, and I'm sure you guys as well, we buy franchises and we start our own business is so we don't have to create, we don't have a job, right? Like we're building something and we've got different things we can work on, but we're never, dedicated to one job all day, every day, right? So with that in mind, and with building your team and having these new businesses, what are you spending your time on? Like what does your daily, weekly schedule look like? And how much of that are you controlling at this point? Or, is it out of control because you're new and you're trying to build something?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm a new franchisee owner. I am in my first franchise. So we actually closed on our business October 15th. So for me, my day-to-day is in the shop pretty much almost every day, Tuesday through Saturday. We're open 10 to 6. I've started to work from home now after working there about 2 months or so. I work from home about probably one day a week now because you got to get the proper headspace. You got to get out of the shop. You can do your stuff from home. I have a trusted shop manager who does amazing work, and I trust my employees. We're starting to get a lot more staffed up now, and things are up and running. Things are just moving along. We're growing great. So that's good. But at the same time, I need to know my business inside and out. I need to understand every little thing that's happening before I can just not be there. And for me, a presence from the owner is everything, especially when you're getting started and staff don't know you as well. So until I've established myself as that owner, my day-to-day will be at the shop most of the time for now.
Yeah, for me, so I don't live anywhere near where we're putting our base camps, and so naturally I work from home every day. But it's a pretty set routine. I meet with our teams every morning to discuss, what was our win from the day before and what are we still learning, and then we kind of strategize each day as well as look at our big goals. And then the rest of my day is dealing with marketing and construction and looking at future opportunities for more base camps. And so it's busy for sure. So developing any new franchise, any new business, especially in the construction phase, it's a lot of hurry up and wait, do as much as we can and then wait for somebody to respond. And especially in this construction climate right now with the delays and all the shortages that are out there. But yeah, so I mean, for the most part, a lot of my mornings is developing staff and then releasing them to do their due.
So Fess, obviously you're a little bit newer at this and you're learning every day. What are the things that you've learned over the past few months that saying, hey, I'm really good at this. This is something I know that, I'm adding value. And what are the things that have surprised you over the past few months where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm awful at this. I need to either learn it or hire for it.
I think one of the things that I feel like I'm good at is being present on the floor, talking to clients, making them feel comfortable and welcome. At the end of the day, I don't have a major background in sales, but I found that I'm actually pretty darn good at selling memberships to clients and feeling welcoming them into the experience, giving them that full tour, going through the whole steps of service that we talk about on a nationwide level that we're trained on. I feel like I know my shop and my business. Some things that I'm newer at and that I struggle with is being a manager and an owner. And I've come from an assistant background for 5 years straight. So going from an assistant, not just up to a manager, but an owner a major step, and it's been quite the struggle, to be quite honest. Understanding where your place is, delegating stuff to your manager, and how to deal with employees is something that I've never had to do. And to dive in that day one was a real wake-up call. So I love it, but it's something that will take a lot of time to really master, for sure.
And Josh, obviously you've been, at both ends of the spectrum now, and many years ago when you started at Anytime, you probably were dealing with a lot of the same stuff that Fess is dealing with. But think back to that time. What were you dealing with then, and any advice for Fess on that? And then how has that changed now at the different level of the business that you're at?
I mean, I would think early on, you just, especially when you're owner operating and you're in the grind day in and day out, that you can't lose sight of what your big vision is, and you're still developing yourself. And then you start putting in a game plan. And if you said you have a shop manager or a manager in place, how are you slowly releasing more responsibilities to them so that you can go out and venture into whatever personal dreams, goals, or professional that you can continue to have. And it could be at that one location and building it to the best it can be. But as a business owner, eventually, and sometimes sooner than later, it's hard to both work on the business and in the business. And so at some point there becomes a decision to make of how you do that. And honestly, I was horrible at that with Anytime. All of our Anytimes were really close to my house, and even though we had staff in place, I would just get it done. And so, that's why with these base camps, we intentionally are opening them away from our house to force us to work on the business and trust our managers to work in the business.
Yeah, going off that, like our shop manager would sometimes take me aside and be like, you have to let us do our job. You hired us. You're paying us to work. Let us do our job. Because like you said, like sometimes I just want to get it done. I'm like, I know how to do it. I'm confident in my abilities. Sometimes I just want to do it right. That way I know it's done, or something of that nature, or anything. But trusting your staff and knowing that they're in a position to succeed, and giving them that, just letting them go free while you're not there all the time overseeing them. Because sometimes you feel like when you're in the shop all the time, you're like walking around, because it's not like I have a freaking desk job. You have to kind of step away, work from home, let them do their thing, and let them update you on the status of things after the day is done.
Absolutely. Switching gears here a little bit, guys. So Fess, you mentioned, you looked at some other options when you bought your brand, and Josh, obviously you stayed in the same franchise group for a number of years now. Talk a little bit about what it is about the brand that you have now. Like what made you decide, hey, this is where my time, energy, money, basically your life is going to be dedicated for the future? I mean, what was unique about it?
I mean, it was a scary decision because, I mean, it's a calculated risk. I mean, you're going into something where you're purchasing a business. Ours, for one, was a little unique because we were purchasing the existing, so we luckily did not have to go through the construction aspect of everything. But like anything, I mean, you take a massive risk because that's gonna be your new life for at least the immediate future. Things can change, of course, but I was like, where can I see myself? We went into UPS, talked to people from UPS. I'm like, can I see myself literally working in a UPS store? I'm not sure that would make sense. I feel like I would be unhappy. Looked at liquor stores pretty seriously, as we know people in that industry, very successful. It's a great way to franchise. And I just could not see myself fully committing to that type of business and that model. So when we found this, we're like, everyone needs haircuts. It will never go away. It'll never die. It's somewhat COVID proof, I guess. Not really, but people will always have to come back. But yeah, it just made sense. And with the membership model and the unique experience you get, it's unlike anything other on a men's grooming level. So when we met with all the franchisees and asked them how it was, and they loved it. And my last note I'll say is that the corporate support we get is unmatched. That's everything, and that's what we really cared about. Can I email the CEO, and will he respond in a timely manner? And he does, and he cares a lot. So that helps a lot with kind of just that support.
Well, I mean, I guess initially I didn't have much of a choice because of non-competes, but for me, 15 years. And when I started with Anytime Fitness, that was, that's the baby of Self-Esteem Brands. And, we started early on with them too. And we watched Anytime grow to what it is now. It's the largest franchise group in the world. And so then the opportunity to kind of do it all over again with Self-Esteem, with their next, baby brand. And, look, I get it. There's always going to be bumps and bruises when dealing with a franchisor. But I had this relationship. I knew the folks at corporate, for better or worse, we already kind of knew how to work with each other. And so instead of me having to learn a new group and trust a new group, and them learn how to trust me, it was an easy transition. Plus, I really like the base camp model. I really like the brand itself. I like the experience and the workouts. I'm a little upset that it's not near my house because I do like to personally work out there. But I do think coming out of the season we've been in, that our group fitness model is definitely an accessible thing. So that's partially why I stayed in fitness and stayed with Self-Esteem Brands.
And kind of building on that, Josh, one of the things that we talk about a lot on here and through my other conversations with hundreds of franchisees all the time, our focus generally as franchisees, I feel like, are, cash flow and managing financials, managing people, and then personally, it's managing our own personal health and relationships, right? And so you and Fess, Josh and Fess, you're both in great shape and look healthy. How have you managed that being a business owner where you've got to dedicate time, you've got to find the time to take care of yourself, take care of your personal relationships, things. Josh, how's that changed for you over the years? And Fess, how's that changed for you, the last few months kind of diving into this thing?
So for me, it hasn't changed. Yeah, I've always held a pretty strict self kind of calendar, self schedule every day. I get up between 4 and 5 and read every morning. And then after I take my kids to school, I go work out every morning. So that's been the same over the past 15 years, and it's still the same schedule today. So when my teams now with base camp, our first meetings don't start until 9 a.m. So I know I have until 9 to get my personal stuff done, and then we start the work day. So part of it is growing up as an athlete and playing sports, and it just kind of stuck with me. But I also need to work out just to kind of relieve some type of stress before we get into the troubleshooting part of the day.
Yeah, for me, I've always kind of tried to stay in shape. Right now, after the work day is over, I'm pretty much kind of a night guy. So around like 7 p.m. or so, I'll make sure I hit the gym. I think it's super important to stay in shape. It just makes you feel good. I take care of my relationships as well. Talk to my family at least every few days. And then I just make time for people. As a franchisee owner, you kind of going off what we said before, it's trusting your employees and knowing that you're in a position now where you can take that extra time to take care of yourself and should focus on those extra things. So I think I'm allowing myself to do so. While focusing on my business, I'm also taking advantage of the fact that we do have good people in place. We have systems for a reason so that I am able to take care of myself. So
last question here, guys. What are you going to do in 2022? What's your focus? We're all doing our business planning, our vision planning for the next year. What are the 1, 2, 3 things that you're focused on next year to build yourself, build your brand, and kind of take your business to the next level?
I'm looking to staff up and sell memberships. That's what we really need to do. We want to sell as many memberships as we can and take us to the top, because at the end of the day, that's what grows our business. And also see new faces. I want to see strategic brand partnerships and just continue seeing people coming through the door. We're constantly reaching out to new brands, new alcohol brands that want to get in our shop. And then just constantly getting new faces and memberships and gift cards. For us, it's just the more people that hear about us, the better. So the more marketing we can do, the better, because when people are talking about us, the more we can get them in the shop. A lot of people just don't know about the experience, and they come in once and they're hooked. So we offer a lot of times complimentary experiences to people, and it's no sweat off our back because we know they're going to come back. So in 2022, it's ramping up marketing, hiring, and doing everything that we do in terms of our systems. Hopefully we'll continue to grow, and then that second shop will come in no time.
Yeah, so I mean, we hope to launch fast in 2022. So Memphis opens January 8th, and then we'll kind of shift our attention from into the opening operations, and then pre-sale will be hot and heavy in Birmingham as we open there middle of March. And then the plan is to start as soon as Birmingham opens. We'll start turning our focus to where the next location will be. So the hope is to have another one open before the end of 2022.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thanks again for your time. It's been a pleasure. Learned a lot from both of you. Look forward to talking to you both again soon. And then to everyone who's taking the time to listen to Josh and Fess's conversation today, we appreciate you and hope you join us on our next episode. Thanks.
Hey, thanks, Calvin. Appreciate it.
Calvin, really appreciate you having me on.